Zenthrians entered the wreckage, navigating through the debris. Lyra could hear the shouts of Raxan soldiers inside, their desperation echoing through the halls. She pushed forward, her sword ready, her heart set on victory. Finally, they reached the command center, where the last of the Raxan elite had gathered. Lyra stood at the entrance, her eyes blazing with determination. "This ends now," she declared, her voice unwavering. The Raxan commander, the same one who had taunted her before, stood before her, a look of shock crossing his face. "You, how are you still standing?" He spat, anger flooding his words. "I stand for my people," Lyra shouted, stepping forward. "You have taken so much from us, and today, we take back our future." With a fierce cry, Lyra charged at him, their swords clashing once more. This time, she fought not just for victory but for justice. With each strike, she felt Alex's spirit beside her, guiding her. The battle raged on, but Lyra was fueled by an unyielding strength. She felt every blow, every challenge, but she refused to back down. This was her moment. Finally, with one last, powerful swing, she struck the Raxan commander down. He fell to the ground, a look of disbelief on his face. The remaining Raxan soldiers looked at Lyra in shock, their will to fight crumbling as they witnessed their leader's defeat. "Yield," Lyra commanded, raising her sword high. "The fight is over." Silence fell over the room as the remaining Raxans dropped their weapons, surrendering to the Zenthrian forces. Lyra took a deep breath, her heart swelling with pride. They had done it. Against all odds, they had triumphed. As her soldiers cheered around her, Lyra looked up to the sky, a bittersweet smile on her face. She knew Alex was watching over her, proud of what they had achieved together. The battle had been fierce, but they had won. Zenthra would rise again. "Let's go home," Lyra whispered, her heart full of hope. Together, they would rebuild and honor those who had fallen. Together, they would forge a new future. The encounter. In the vibrant world of Zephyria, the sky shimmered with hues of blue and green. Tall trees with glowing leaves stretched high into the atmosphere, and crystal-clear rivers flowed with life. It was a peaceful planet, home to the Zephyrians, a race of intelligent beings known for their wisdom and advanced technology. At the heart of this world was the royal palace, where Princess Lyra lived. Princess Lyra was a striking figure. With her long, flowing silver hair and bright green eyes, she was both beautiful and powerful. Her people admired her for her bravery and intelligence. Lyra had a deep connection to her planet, and she often spent time exploring the lush forests and learning from the ancient trees. But today, she felt a mix of excitement and worry. Humans were coming to visit, and this was a big event. For years, the Zephyrians had heard stories of Earth, a planet filled with strange creatures and different cultures. The council decided it was time to meet with the humans, hoping for a peaceful alliance. They believed that by joining forces, they could share knowledge and protect their worlds. But Lyra sensed something deeper in the air, a hint of danger that made her uneasy. As the sun began to set, casting an orange glow across the sky, the human delegation arrived. They came in a sleek, silver ship that landed smoothly in the palace courtyard. The ship's doors opened, and a group of humans stepped out, looking curious and confident. Lyra stood at the entrance of the palace, her heart racing. She had never seen humans before, and she was eager to learn about them. The leader of the humans, a tall man named Commander Davis, stepped forward with a smile. He extended his hand to Lyra. "Your Highness, it's an honor to finally meet you," he said. His voice was smooth, and he spoke with a charm that made the gathered Zephyrians relax. Lyra shook his hand, but kept her gaze steady. "The honor is mine, Commander. Welcome to Zephyria." Her voice was calm, but inside, she felt a swirl of emotions. As the delegation entered the palace, Lyra led them through the grand halls adorned with shimmering crystals and colorful murals depicting the history of her people. The humans admired the beauty of the palace, and Lyra felt proud of her heritage. But as they spoke, She noticed the way Davis looked at her council members, his eyes glinting with something she could not place. The first meeting took place in the Great Hall, where a large table was set for the discussions. Lyra took her seat at the head of the table, surrounded by her advisors. The humans sat opposite them, and the atmosphere was filled with a mix of curiosity and tension. Commander Davis started the conversation, outlining the benefits of an alliance between their two worlds. Together, we can achieve greatness. Earth has advanced technology that can help Zephyria thrive, he said, his voice confident. Lyra listened carefully, her mind racing. And what do you expect from us in return? She asked, raising an eyebrow. She wanted to understand their true intentions. Davis smiled, but there was a hint of something cold in his eyes. Just cooperation and friendship. We believe that together, we can explore the universe and protect our planets from threats. The conversation continued, but Lyra felt a growing sense of unease. The more she listened, the more questions filled her mind. Why did the humans need them? What kind of threats were they really talking about? And why did the council seem so eager to trust these strangers? As the meeting wrapped up, Lyra invited the humans to stay for a feast in their honor. She hoped the celebration would help ease her concerns and foster a sense of trust. But deep down, her instincts warned her that not all was as it seemed. That evening, the banquet hall was filled with laughter and music. The Zephyrians shared their delicious food, a mix of sweet fruits and savory dishes. Lyra watched as the humans enjoyed the feast, but she could see Commander Davis observing her closely. It made her uneasy. After the meal, Lyra decided to take Davis on a tour of the palace gardens. The gardens were a beautiful sight, with flowers of every color imaginable and glowing plants that lit up the night. As they walked, Lyra tried to keep the conversation light. Zephyria is known for its beauty and tranquility, she said, gesturing to the flowers. We are proud of our harmony with nature. Davis nodded, but his expression was unreadable. It's impressive, but beauty can sometimes be deceiving. His words sent a chill down Lyra's spine. She felt that there was more to his statement than just a compliment. What do you mean? She asked, stopping to look at him. Just that, he replied, his smile returning. In every alliance, there are hidden truths. It's wise to be cautious. Lyra narrowed her eyes, sensing the underlying threat. I will be cautious, Commander. I promise you that. As they continued their walk, Lyra's heart raced. She had always been open to new ideas and friendships, but she couldn't shake the feeling that the humans had ulterior motives. The night ended, but her concerns lingered. Returning to her chamber, Lyra gazed out at the stars. The universe was vast and mysterious, filled with wonders and dangers. She closed her eyes, determined to protect her people. If the humans intended to deceive her, she would be ready. The encounter with the humans had only just begun, but Lyra knew that trust was fragile. She vowed to uncover the truth behind their visit, and she would do everything in her power to safeguard Zephyria from harm. The seeds of doubt had been planted, and she would nurture them until the truth revealed itself. Rose over Zephyria, casting golden rays across the landscape. Princess Lyra stood on her balcony, gazing out at the sprawling gardens below. The beauty of her world was undeniable, but a sense of unease filled her heart. The previous night's encounter with the human delegation weighed heavily on her mind. Lyra knew she had to discuss her concerns with her advisors. The council had been eager to forge an alliance with Earth, but her instincts screamed that something was off. She needed to ensure the safety of her people. As she made her way to the council chamber, Lyra recalled Davis's words from the previous night. Beauty can sometimes be deceiving. The phrase echoed in her mind. What did he mean by that? Did he see Zephyria as a means to an end, a resource to exploit? When she entered the council chamber, her advisors were already gathered. The air was thick with anticipation, and they greeted her with respectful bows. Your Highness, said Elder Maris, a wise and trusted advisor, what are your thoughts on the humans? Lyra took a deep breath. I am concerned about their intentions. They speak of friendship and cooperation, but I sense something darker beneath their charm. Elder Maris nodded. We must tread carefully. While an alliance could bring advantages, we cannot ignore our instincts. The council discussed the potential benefits of joining forces with Earth, but Lyra remained unconvinced. We should gather more information about their history and their planet. Knowledge is our greatest weapon, she suggested. The council agreed to send a small team of trusted Zephyrians to Earth to learn more. That evening, Lyra met with her closest friend, Eliana, in the palace garden. Eliana was a skilled botanist, deeply in tune with nature. What troubles you, Lyra? She asked, noticing her friend's worried expression. I fear the humans may not be as they seem, Lyra admitted. Their leader, Commander Davis, has a hidden agenda. I can feel it. Eliana listened carefully. Trust your instincts. The universe is full of deceit, especially when power is at stake. You must protect our people. As they spoke, a sudden commotion erupted near the palace gates. Lyra and Eliana rushed to investigate. A group of Zephyrians had gathered, shouting and pointing towards the human ship. Lyra pushed through the crowd to see what was happening. The humans were arguing among themselves, and Davis appeared agitated. We will not tolerate this disrespect, he shouted, his voice echoing through the courtyard. What is going on? Lyra demanded, stepping forward. The crowd fell silent, and all eyes turned to her. Davis turned to her, his expression fierce. One of my crew members was attacked by a Zephyrian. This is unacceptable. We came in peace, and now you allow this. Lyra's heart raced. She felt anger rising within her. We do not condone violence. I will investigate this matter. However, I will not have you threaten my people. As tensions mounted, Lyra ordered her guards to bring the accused Zephyrian forward. The young man, named Kiran, looked terrified. I was only trying to protect the palace. The human was poking at our sacred plants, he stammered. Davis sneered. Your sacred plants mean nothing to us. We deserve respect. Lyra's patience waned. You are in our home, Commander. If you cannot show respect, then perhaps this alliance is ill-fated. She glanced at Kiran, who looked relieved at her defense. Davis's expression darkened, but he quickly regained his composure. Very well. I expect a full apology from the Zephyrian who attacked my crew member. Lyra nodded. We will address this matter. However, I expect your crew to respect our customs and our people as well. The humans stormed back to their ship, and the crowd dispersed, murmuring about the confrontation. Lyra turned to Eliana, who looked concerned. This isn't just a simple misunderstanding, is it? Eliana asked. No, Lyra replied, her mind racing. This was a test. They want to see how far they can push us. Days passed, and the tension between the Zephyrians and humans grew. The council received reports of the humans exploring the outskirts of the palace without permission. Lyra decided to confront Commander Davis directly, determined to address the escalating situation. When she arrived at the human ship, she found Davis waiting for her, arms crossed. Your Highness, he greeted, a hint of mockery in his voice. What brings you to our humble vessel? I want to discuss the ongoing tensions between our peoples, Lyra said firmly. Your crew has been disrespecting our land and our customs. This cannot continue. Davis raised an eyebrow, amusement flickering in his eyes. You Zephyrians are sensitive, aren't you? We're simply conducting research. Surely you don't mind if we take a closer look at your resources. Lyra felt her anger boil. You cannot treat us like mere subjects to be examined. We are allies, or at least we should be. Davis stepped closer, his tone lowering. Allies? Perhaps you should consider what's at stake here, Princess. If you're not willing to cooperate, you might find your world in danger. Her heart raced, but she stood her ground. I will protect my people at all costs. If your intentions are hostile, I will not hesitate to act. Davis smirked, his demeanor changing to something more sinister. Just remember, Princess, you may not always be in control. With those words, Lyra left the ship, her mind racing. The seeds of doubt had been sown, and she could feel the threat looming. She needed to uncover the truth behind the humans' visit before it was too late. Back in her chamber, Lyra gazed out at the night sky, the stars twinkling like diamonds. She could not shake the feeling that the universe was about to change. She vowed to protect her people, even if it meant standing against the humans she once hoped to ally with. The time for action was drawing near, and Lyra would not be caught off guard. Secrets unveiled. The days dragged on, filled with tension and uncertainty. Princess Lyra spent hours poring over maps and reports, searching for any hint of the humans' true intentions. The council meetings became heated, with some members advocating for stronger measures against the Earth delegation. They feared that their home, Zephyria, was being targeted for exploitation. One evening, as Lyra strolled through the palace gardens, she spotted Aliana examining the plants. The moonlight cast a gentle glow on her friend, who was deep in thought. "Aliana," Lyra called, approaching her. "Have you heard any news from the council?" Aliana looked up, worry etched on her face. "There are whispers of a possible attack. Many believe the humans plan to take what they want by force if necessary." Lyra nodded, her heart heavy. "We need to gather more information. I cannot shake the feeling that there is something more going on than they let on." Suddenly, a voice broke through the night air. "Your Highness." It was Kiran, the young Zephyrian who had been accused of attacking the human. He hurried toward them, breathless and frantic. "I have news." "What is it?" Lyra asked, her heart racing. "I overheard some of the humans speaking in their ship. They plan to launch an offensive against Zephyria. They believe they can control us and use our resources for their own gain," Kiran exclaimed. Lyra's stomach twisted with fear. "Are you sure?" "Yes. I didn't want to believe it at first, but I heard them talking about it just this morning. They think we are weak and will easily submit," he replied, desperation in his voice. Lyra glanced at Aliana, who looked horrified. "We must tell the council immediately," Aliana said, determination flashing in her eyes. "They need to understand the gravity of the situation." The three of them made their way to the council chamber, where the elder members were deep in discussion. As Lyra entered, the room fell silent. "I have urgent news," she announced, catching their attention. "Kiran has overheard the humans plotting against us. They plan to attack." Gasps filled the room. Elder Maris was the first to speak. "This is serious. If the humans truly intend to invade, we must prepare for war." The council erupted into chaos as members debated the best course of action. Some argued for immediate retaliation, while others suggested diplomatic measures. "We must not act in haste," Elder Maris cautioned. "We need a solid plan." Lyra raised her hand to silence the crowd. "We must gather more information before making any decisions." Kiran's words may hold truth, but we need to confirm what the humans are planning. We cannot afford to misjudge the situation. The council reluctantly agreed to send a small group to scout the human ship and gather intelligence. Lyra volunteered to lead the mission, knowing she had to confront Commander Davis herself. "I will not let them take my home without a fight," she declared. The following day, Lyra, Aliana, and Kiran set out for the human ship under the cover of darkness. They moved stealthily through the shadows, avoiding detection as they approached the metallic vessel. The ship loomed above them, a stark reminder of the power the humans held. As they crept closer, they spotted two human guards standing watch. Lyra signaled for her companions to hide while she devised a plan. Using her knowledge of the ship's layout, she guided them to a side entrance that was slightly ajar. Once inside, the trio found themselves in a dimly lit corridor. They could hear voices coming from a nearby room. Lyra nodded at Kiran and Aliana, and they approached the door, listening intently. "We can't wait any longer," a voice said, which Lyra recognized as Commander Davis. "The longer we stay here, the more risk we face. We need to make our move soon." Another voice replied, "But what if the Zephyrians find out? They might fight back harder than we expect." Davis scoffed. "They're nothing without their precious technology. We'll take what we want, and they'll be too weak to stop us. Prepare the ship for launch." Lyra's heart raced as she realized the truth. The humans were indeed planning to attack. She turned to her friends, her expression grave. "We must warn the council immediately." As they retraced their steps, Lyra felt a wave of anger surge within her. The humans had betrayed her trust, and now they planned to destroy her world. Once outside the ship, they dashed back to the palace, fueled by determination. Upon reaching the council chamber, Lyra burst in, her voice urgent. "We have confirmed the humans' intentions. They plan to attack Zephyria." Gasps filled the room again, and the atmosphere shifted from uncertainty to alarm. Elder Maris stood, his face pale. "We must prepare our defenses at once. Call all warriors to arms." The council worked quickly to organize a defense strategy. Lyra felt a sense of empowerment as she helped direct her people. They would not go down without a fight. They would protect their home and show the humans the true strength of Zephyria. Later that night, as Lyra looked out at the stars, she felt a mix of emotions. She had trusted the humans, believing they could forge a partnership. Now she realized they were not allies but enemies. Her resolve hardened, and she vowed to do whatever it took to save her world. The time for action had come, and Princess Lyra would lead her people into battle against the forces that threatened their very existence. The stakes had never been higher, and the fate of Zephyria rested in her hands. The calm before the storm. As the sun rose over Zephyria, its golden rays painted the sky with hues of orange and pink. The palace, usually filled with laughter and chatter, was now silent, heavy with the weight of impending conflict. Princess Lyra stood on the balcony, gazing out over her beloved land. She felt a mixture of dread and determination. Today would change everything. The council had called for an emergency meeting to finalize their battle plans. Warriors from every corner of Zephyria gathered, their faces grim but resolute. Lyra could see the fear in their eyes, but she also saw courage. They were ready to fight for their home, and she would lead them. As she entered the council chamber, the tension was palpable. Elder Maris stood at the head of the table, surrounded by the other council members. "We have gathered here to discuss our strategy against the humans," he began, his voice steady. "We cannot underestimate their strength. They may seem weak, but they are cunning." Lyra nodded, her heart racing. "We have seen their intentions. They plan to invade and take our resources. We must be prepared to defend ourselves at all costs." The warriors murmured in agreement. Aliana stood beside Lyra, her eyes fierce. "We need to set traps around the palace and in the fields. The humans won't expect us to fight back this fiercely." "Excellent idea," Elder Maris replied. "We'll need to split our forces. Some will defend the palace, while others will ambush the humans from the fields. We must use every advantage we have." As the council continued discussing tactics, Lyra felt a surge of hope. They were united, ready to face the challenge together. However, doubt crept into her mind. What if they were outnumbered? What if their defenses failed? Shaking off the thoughts, she reminded herself that they had no choice but to fight. Hours passed as they planned their strategy, and soon the time for action arrived. Lyra donned her armor, feeling the weight of her responsibility on her shoulders. The golden breastplate gleamed in the sunlight, a symbol of her royal lineage and her commitment to protect her people. Aliana helped her adjust the straps, her hands trembling with anticipation. "You'll lead us to victory, Lyra," Aliana said, her voice steady but soft. "I believe in you." "Thank you, Aliana. We'll fight together," Lyra replied, her heart swelling with gratitude for her friend's support. As the warriors gathered outside the palace, the air was thick with tension and anticipation. They formed ranks, ready for battle. Lyra stood at the front, her gaze sweeping over the assembled warriors. Each face was filled with determination, and she felt a sense of pride swell within her. "Today, we defend our home," Lyra shouted, her voice ringing clear. "The humans think they can take what is ours, but we will show them the strength of Zephyria. We fight for our families, for our land, and for our future. Together, we will prevail." The warriors cheered, their voices echoing through the air. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, they marched toward the fields, ready to confront the threat that loomed on the horizon. The moment of truth was drawing near, and they would not back down. As they approached the edge of the fields, Lyra felt the weight of her sword at her side. The blade was forged from the strongest metal in Zephyria, imbued with the magic of her ancestors. It was a symbol of hope and power, and she would wield it with honor. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the distant ridge. Human scouts. Lyra's heart raced. The humans were closer than she had anticipated. She signaled for her warriors to take cover, their training kicking in as they prepared for the confrontation. Lyra crouched low, peering through the tall grass. The human scouts moved with confidence, oblivious to the ambush awaiting them. "We must wait for the signal," she whispered to Eliana and Kiran, who were crouched beside her. Minutes felt like hours as they waited, their hearts pounding in unison. Lyra glanced at her companions, their faces tense but determined. The moment felt surreal. She had never imagined she would be in a battle like this. At last, the signal came. A loud horn sounded from the palace, echoing through the fields. The warriors sprang into action, charging from their hiding spots. Lyra led the charge, her sword raised high, her heart pounding with adrenaline. As they raced toward the human scouts, Lyra felt a surge of power. She would protect her home, no matter the cost. The humans turned in shock, their faces pale as they realized the Zephyrians were upon them. The clash of metal rang through the air as the two forces collided. Lyra fought with everything she had, her movements fluid and graceful. She deflected blows and countered with strikes of her own, her heart pounding with determination. But amidst the chaos, she spotted Commander Davis in the fray, his expression fierce and focused. The sight of him sent a wave of anger through her. He had betrayed her trust, and now he was here, fighting against her people. As they fought, the ground trembled beneath their feet. The fate of Zephyria hung in the balance, and Lyra would do whatever it took to secure victory. With her heart ablaze with rage and determination, she charged toward Davis, ready to confront the man who had sparked this war. The clash of swords and cries of battle filled the air as the fight for their world unfolded. In that moment, Princess Lyra knew that she would fight until her last breath to protect her home and her people. The storm was here, and she would face it head-on. The turning point. The battlefield was a chaotic whirlwind of clashing metal, shouts, and cries of pain. Lyra felt her heart race as she engaged with the human forces. Each strike she made echoed her resolve to protect her home. She fought fiercely, pushing back against the invading troops. But amidst the chaos, she couldn't shake the sight of Commander Davis. There he was, cutting down her warriors with ruthless efficiency. His presence fueled her anger, but it also clouded her judgment. She had trusted him once, and now he stood as an enemy. With every swing of his sword, the betrayal cut deeper. Lyra's focus narrowed as she pressed forward, ducking beneath a swing aimed at her head. She countered with a precise thrust of her sword, catching one of the human soldiers off guard. He fell to the ground, and she pressed on, determined to reach Davis. Suddenly, a loud blast echoed across the battlefield. A group of humans had brought in strange weapons, unfamiliar to her. The loud bangs sent shockwaves through the ranks of Zephyrians. They were firing projectiles that exploded on impact, causing panic among her troops. "Retreat," shouted Elder Maris from the rear, trying to regain control. "We need to regroup." Lyra hesitated, torn between retreating to save her warriors and the burning desire to confront Davis. Just then, Eliana appeared at her side, breathless and covered in dirt. "We can't hold them back much longer. We need to regroup, Lyra," she urged, her eyes wide with fear. The battlefield was shifting. The humans were gaining ground, their numbers seemingly endless. Lyra clenched her jaw, feeling the weight of the situation. If they retreated, would they ever be able to come back and face the humans again? But if they stayed, many would die. "Follow me," Lyra shouted to her warriors. "We will not retreat. We will push forward." With renewed determination, she led her warriors to the front lines, dodging blasts and returning fire as best as she could. They surged forward, hoping to rally against the human forces, but the explosions kept coming and the chaos only grew. In the midst of the chaos, Lyra caught sight of Davis again. He was locked in combat with Kiran, Eliana's brother, who was desperately trying to protect his sister. Davis's eyes were cold and ruthless, and Lyra felt a surge of anger flood through her. "Stop," she shouted, charging toward them. "Davis." Kiran glanced back at her, confusion and fear in his eyes. "Lyra, stay back," he yelled, parrying a blow from Davis. "Let me handle this," she insisted, pushing past her friend. "Davis, it's me, Lyra." Davis paused, his attention shifting to her. For a moment, she thought she saw a flicker of recognition in his eyes, but it quickly disappeared. "Princess Lyra," he sneered, "you should have stayed out of this. You are out of your depth." "No, Davis, you've made a mistake," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "You don't have to do this. We can end this fight. Just tell your people to stop. End this." He laughed harshly, shaking his head. "You think I'm going to turn back now? You forced my hand, Lyra. There's no turning back for me. Earth's power will crush your world." As he spoke, Lyra felt a fire ignite within her. He was no longer the man she had trusted. He was an enemy, and he needed to be stopped. "You think you can destroy my home? You don't know the strength of Zephyria. We will fight to the last breath." With those words, she charged forward, meeting him with a flurry of strikes. Their swords clashed, sending sparks flying into the air. The noise of the battle faded as she focused solely on him. With every blow exchange, memories of their time together flooded her mind. Shared laughter, stolen glances, and whispered dreams of a united future. But that future was gone. All that remained was the betrayal. "Why did you do it, Davis?" she shouted, blocking a powerful swing aimed at her shoulder. "We could have been allies." "You were naive, Lyra," he hissed, pushing her back with a hard strike. "You should have known better than to trust a human. We always look out for ourselves, and you're just another obstacle in our way." Lyra felt the anger boil within her. "Then I will be your obstacle. I will protect my people, even if it means taking you down." With newfound determination, she launched an attack, her sword moving with a speed and grace that surprised even her. She felt the magic of her ancestors flowing through her, guiding her strikes as she aimed for Davis's defenses. The clash of their swords continued, each one becoming more desperate. The sounds of the battle around them faded, and the world narrowed to just the two of them. The fate of Zephyria rested on this moment. Finally, with a final surge of energy, she delivered a powerful blow that knocked Davis's sword from his hands. He stumbled back, surprise written across his face. Lyra stood over him, breathing heavily, her sword pointed at his chest. "It's over, Davis. You've lost." As she stared into his eyes, she saw a mix of anger and defeat. But then, something shifted in his expression. "You think you can win," he spat. "The war is just beginning. You've awakened a force you cannot control." With that, he turned and sprinted away into the chaos, disappearing into the throng of human soldiers. Lyra felt a rush of adrenaline mixed with disappointment. He had escaped, but she had to focus on the battle. Turning back to her warriors, she saw that many were still fighting fiercely. The tide was still uncertain, but they had to press on. "We can't let them take our home," she shouted, rallying her troops. "We will fight for Zephyria." As they pressed forward, The fight raged on, and Lyra knew that this battle was far from over. But she also felt a sense of purpose. No matter what happened, she would not allow her home to fall. With her warriors beside her, she would fight until the very end. The Wrath of Zephyria. The battlefield was a scene of chaos and destruction, but Lyra's heart raced with determination. She stood among her warriors, the sun setting behind them, casting an orange hue over the horizon. It was a sight both beautiful and tragic, a reminder of what was at stake. As she regrouped with her remaining troops, the mood was tense. Many of her warriors bore wounds from the fierce battle, but the fire in their eyes showed they were ready to continue fighting. They had suffered losses, but they also had something to fight for: their home, their families, and their honor. "Listen to me," Lyra shouted, raising her voice over the sounds of battle. "We are Zephyrians. We will not let these humans take our land. We will show them the true strength of our people." The warriors responded with a roar, their spirits igniting at her words. They were tired, but Lyra could see the resolve hardening in their hearts. They would not back down. Just then, a commotion at the front lines drew her attention. A group of human soldiers was advancing rapidly, and among them was a familiar figure, Davis. He had returned, and this time he looked more dangerous than before. His eyes glinted with anger, and he seemed determined to push forward. "Stand firm," Lyra commanded, drawing her sword. "We will not yield to them." The human forces surged forward, and the battle erupted again with a vengeance. Lyra fought with everything she had, her sword moving with the grace of a flowing river. Each swing was filled with her anger, her sorrow, and her desire for justice. She faced off against several human soldiers, their advanced weaponry in stark contrast to her own sword. But she was relentless, using her agility to dodge their attacks. The training she had received from her ancestors guided her, and she felt their strength within her. Suddenly, she caught sight of Davis again. He was engaged in combat with Kiran, Eliana's brother, who had been defending his people valiantly. They fought fiercely, each strike filled with purpose. "Davis," Lyra shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "You must stop this madness. You can still turn back." But he simply laughed, a sound filled with malice. "You think I would turn back? You're foolish, Lyra. This is war, and I will not lose." In that moment, Lyra's heart sank. He had completely lost himself to this conflict. She had hoped that the connection they once shared would sway him, but she realized now that he was lost to his own ambitions. With a fierce determination, Lyra charged forward, making her way through the throng of combatants until she reached Davis. She positioned herself between him and Kiran, ready to protect her friend. "You will not harm him," she declared, her voice steady. Davis sneered, his confidence unshaken. "And what will you do to stop me, princess? Your kind is weak. You cannot win this fight." Lyra felt a surge of anger rise within her. "Weak? You underestimate the power of my people. We will fight with everything we have." With that, she lunged at him, their swords clashing again. The intensity of their fight escalated, the sounds of their swords ringing out like a deadly song. Each strike was a battle of wills, a clash of their differing visions for the future. As they fought, Lyra could feel the energy of her people around her. They fought not just for their lives, but for the honor of Zephyria. She could see her warriors rallying, pushing back against the human soldiers with renewed vigor. With a powerful swing, she disarmed Davis once again, his sword clattering to the ground. He stumbled back, shock flickering across his face. "You think you've won?" He spat, breathing heavily. "You may have bested me in this moment, but you have no idea what you are facing. The earth will not let this go unpunished." "What do you mean?" Lyra demanded, her sword still aimed at him. "What more can you do? You've already betrayed us." Davis chuckled darkly, a glint of madness in his eyes. "You don't understand. Earth has resources you can't even imagine. This is just the beginning. We will come back with a force you cannot withstand." Lyra's heart raced. The humans had a larger agenda, one that could threaten not just Zephyria, but the entire galaxy. "If that's true, then we must unite. We can find a way to coexist." He shook his head, his expression twisted with rage. "There is no coexistence with weakness. You'll see. Your people will bow before us, or they will perish." As he turned to flee, Lyra felt a surge of desperation. "Davis, don't run. We can still find peace." But he was gone, lost in the chaos. She felt the weight of despair settle on her shoulders. If what he said was true, the fight was far from over. The humans would return, and they would be more dangerous than before. Turning back to her warriors, she raised her sword high. "We must prepare. This battle may be won, but the war is far from over. We will stand together, and we will protect our home." Her words ignited a fire within her people. They rallied around her, ready to face whatever came next. Lyra felt the strength of her ancestors surge through her as she looked out over the battlefield. Zephyria would not fall. She would lead her people to victory, no matter the cost. Together, they would prepare for the storm that was coming. They would not let the darkness engulf their world.